I think there's something to be said for, I like it here. I was successful here. I want to continue to be successful here. And I'm 32. I don't want to go to another new franchise. I've been all over the league for the entire decade I've been in the NFL. This is a place where I sort of have finally staked a claim to a job, and I know I can find success here. And, yeah, no one's going to pay me 5X. I mean, there's a sort of a realization probably of what his market would be. And even if there was a little bit more in terms of guarantees, I think he, again, bet on himself in a place where he liked and now is able to call home for the first time in his career as a starting quarterback. And I think that means something.
How many of these years do you think he will play in Seattle?
At least 2.
Really?
Yeah, I think at least 2, or at least start the second year. I mean, now the conversation changes if they take a quarterback at 5, but that doesn't change year 1. And I think even if he plays well, he's playing year 2 with, albeit maybe a shorter leash depending on what the team is doing and all that. But, yeah, I think I would say at least 2 confidently. I believe in Geno. I don't believe last year was an aberration. I think he's going to be able to replicate it and be a productive starting quarterback in the NFL for a couple of years. I mean, he's got a lot of tread left on the tires given how little he played. And I know 32 isn't young, but it's also not, way over the hill either. So, yeah, I think he's right in his prime and it'll be okay. I expect it this year and at least the next year as well.
You mentioned the idea of drafting quarterback at number 5. Do you think they should? Do you think they will?
Man, every day I feel like I change my answer on this. I convince myself that, yeah, John's going to fall in love with somebody and somebody's going to fall and Anthony Richardson's going to be there and they're not going to be able to avoid the temptation. And then it's like, well, who's going to be there? Maybe they're not there anymore. And it's, and then who knows? Now, I talked to one of my buddies, a Pro Football Focus draft expert, Trevor Stickham, one of my favorite guys in the industry. And he's like, outside of the quarterbacks, there are only 3 blue chip prospects, and that's Bijan Robinson, who I don't think should be an option for the Seahawks, and then Jalen Carter and Will Anderson. And, depending on Jalen Carter's legal issues, yeah, if he's there or Will Anderson slips down the board because the run on quarterbacks takes place, then, yeah, it's really hard not to go that direction either. So I'm fascinated, and I think that's what's the fun of it is because I don't feel like I have a firm, really kind of feeling on where it's going to go. The fact that John Schneider has never gotten to take a quarterback in the top 5, the fact that he'll probably never get to again, unless things go really south for the Seahawks in 2023, you're like, okay, this is his shot. And if he falls in love with somebody the way he fell in love with Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, I just can't imagine him saying no to that, nor do I think he should, as hard as it would be to say, hey, sorry, but, we're going the quarterback direction, Jalen Carter. And a lot of fans would be upset. It's going to be a very polarizing pick no matter what happens, depending on who's on the board.
Do you think they have to take a quarterback somewhere?
Yes, I do. I talked to Trevor, and I wrote on SeattleSports.com. He sees Hendon Hooker as a beautiful sort of waiting in the wings prospect, and he'd be sort of a late bloomer as well, sort of like Geno, and that's not something the Seahawks should be afraid of. And if you can get a 3rd-round pick for him, then you really like what you're doing there. But I don't think you have to force it. I don't think you're just taking quarterback just for the sake of taking quarterback. But, any of those top 5, I think, have the projection of being a franchise guy. And, if you grade him out that way, then gosh, I mean, it just to say thanks but no thanks would be a really tough decision for John Schneider. It's a crazy admittance of your roster is probably not where you want it to be. So, yeah, I mean, it's all very fascinating. This is the most fun draft season the Seahawks have had in, a decade?
What if you love Bryce Young and you think he is going to be the guy? You think he is he's in that Mahomes Allen category, and that's the guy that John truly loves and has fallen in love with. Would you trade up to get him?
I don't think you can. I think there's just too many holes on the roster to give away. Probably, you're giving away 5. If it's 5 and 20 and then another second rounder, I mean, that's a steep price. I get it. I mean, if that's your guy, hard to say no to that, given what that does to your floor. I mean, look at Patrick Mahomes and what he's capable, but I don't think anyone is like that. But
what if he thinks he is?
Think about it.
What if John has him in that category and says, you know what? This is Patrick Mahomes. Don't you have to? I mean, you have 2 first-round picks. Don't you have to go do that in order to try to get the next Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be hard to stomach, and it's one heck of a hypothetical, and I don't think Bryce Young is that. But yes, you're not wrong. You'd have to do everything in your power to go get that guy if that's who you truly believe he is. I don't think Seahawks fans have to worry about that. I don't think that's how John Schneider is going to view Bryce Young. But yes, I mean, you have to get your guys. And so I am a proponent of doing whatever you can in order to do so. I'm so wary of the rest of the roster that I don't think is as close as other people think. And, you know, when you look at that defense that's sort of void of a bunch of foundational pieces, that makes the quarterback at 5 conversation that much more challenging. So, I mean, this is what they get paid the big bucks for. And, you know, it's a huge draft that they just have to get right if the next 3 to 5 years are going to go the way they want these next 3 to 5 years to go and get back into, you know, we talked in the Twitter spaces on Tuesday or whatever, Monday, Tuesday, whatever day it was, that, you know, they got to get this right. And being stuck in the good, not great sort of void is a terrible place to be because you're never picking in the top 10, top 5, and you're not good enough to go win a championship. So how do you get yourself out of that sort of kind of abyss and stuck in neutral and get out? You know, I'm very curious to see what they do. I know all these answers are not firm hot takes because I just don't have them. And I guess that makes the conversations more fun because it does feel truly like a mystery, but it's a mystery with massive stakes.